Aaron was an ordinary student who lived in a small town on Earth. He was not the strongest, not the fastest, and not the most popular among his classmates. In fact, many of his peers often forgot he was even there. He spoke little in class and usually preferred sitting at the back of the room with his books. He was curious about the world but rarely had anyone to share his thoughts with. His family cared for him, but they were busy with their own work and responsibilities. That was why Aaron often felt invisible, like a shadow moving through the days. But there was one thing that made him feel alive: the night sky. When evening came and the stars appeared above, Aaron would sit outside with his small telescope. He loved searching for bright points of light, mapping constellations and wondering if there were worlds out there filled with strange creatures and civilizations. Sometimes he whispered to himself, "Maybe out there, someone is watching these same stars." It was a comforting thought, even if he knew it was only a dream. On one quiet evening after finishing his homework, Aaron carried his telescope to the nearby hill behind his house. The night was cool, the grass soft under his shoes and the air full of cricket sounds. The stars shone brightly. He adjusted his telescope and looked at the surface of the moon, then at Jupiter's faint glow. He smiled softly, enjoying the calm. Then something strange happened. A sudden flash of light appeared in the sky, brighter than any star. At first, Aaron thought it was a shooting star, and his heart jumped with excitement. But this light did not fade. Instead, it grew larger, brighter, and seemed to move downward. The object cut across the sky, leaving a glowing trail. Aaron's hands trembled as he lowered his telescope. His eyes widened. "That's not a star," he whispered. "That's something else." The light streaked toward the forest near his town and disappeared behind the trees with a faint boom. The ground shook slightly beneath his feet and the crickets went silent for a moment. Aaron stood frozen, his mind racing. Airplanes did not fall like that, and meteors usually burned before reaching the ground. This was different. Fear told him to run back home. But curiosity pulled him forward. His heart pounded as he whispered to himself, "I have to see." Aaron hurried down the hill, his legs moving faster than he thought possible. The forest loomed ahead, dark and thick. He pushed through the bushes, his hands scratching against branches. Each step made the night seem deeper and heavier, but he refused to stop. His breath came in short gasps, but his eyes searched the darkness until he saw a faint glow between the trees. He slowed down, moving carefully now. The glow came from a small clearing where the ground was burned black and smoke still rose from broken branches. In the center of the clearing lay a strange object, an escape pod, though Aaron had no word for it yet. It was metallic, round with scorched panels, and strange markings covered its surface. Steam hissed from cracks, and tiny lights blinked weakly. Aaron's mouth went dry. He stepped closer, his heart racing. This is not human," he whispered. He had dreamed of the stars, but he had never imagined standing in front of something that clearly came from beyond Earth. Then he heard a soft sound, a weak groan, almost like a child crying. Aaron froze, his ears straining. Slowly, he circled the pod and saw a hatch partly open. Inside, leaning against the doorway, was someone, or something. It was a girl, but not like any human girl he had ever seen. Her skin glowed faintly with a soft silver tone, and her hair shimmered like threads of light. Her eyes, half open, were a deep shade of violet, unlike anything on Earth. She wore a torn uniform of strange fabric, decorated with symbols he could not read. She looked weak, struggling to keep herself upright. Aaron's breath caught in his throat. You're real," he whispered. The girl turned her head slowly, her eyes meeting his. She spoke a few words in a language he did not understand, her voice soft and melodic. Aaron shook his head nervously. I don't understand you." The girl tried again, this time with great effort. Her lips formed new words, broken but recognizable. "Help me." Aaron's fear melted. Whatever she was in trouble. He stepped forward carefully. "You're hurt," he said. He reached out a hand, then hesitated, but her weak eyes pleaded silently. Gathering courage, he took her arm gently and helped her out of the pod. She stumbled, nearly falling, but Aaron supported her weight. She was surprisingly light, as if gravity held her less firmly. "Who are you?" Aaron asked softly. The girl's lips moved. "Leora," she whispered. "Leora," Aaron repeated. The name felt strange but beautiful. He nodded. "I'm Aaron. I'll help you." Leora gave a small, grateful smile before closing her eyes briefly, exhausted. Aaron looked around the clearing, his mind racing. If anyone else found her, what would they do? His town would panic. Authorities might take her away. He did not know what dangers she faced, but he felt certain she needed protection. "I can't leave you here," Aaron murmured. "I'll hide you." With great effort, he guided her away from the smoking pod and through the forest. It took a long time to move across the uneven ground, but Aaron was determined. At last, they reached an old barn at the edge of his family's land. It was dusty and filled with tools and hay, but it was private. He led Leora inside and helped her sit against a pile of soft straw. She looked at him with half-lidded eyes, her voice weak. "Safe?" "Yes," Aaron said firmly. "You're safe here." He quickly brought a blanket from the house, making sure not to wake his parents. Then he returned and covered her carefully. She whispered something in her own language, then added in broken human words, "Thank you." Aaron sat beside her, his heart still pounding from everything that happened. He looked at her glowing hair, her strange uniform, and the faint light in her skin. She was not a dream. She was real. For a moment, silence filled the barn, broken only by her shallow breaths. Aaron stared at the wooden beams above, trying to understand. Just hours ago, he had been an invisible student alone with his telescope. Now he was sitting beside an alien princess, though he did not yet know she was royalty, who had fallen from the stars. He whispered to himself, "My life just changed forever." Outside, the stars shone as they always had. But for Aaron, the universe was no longer distant. It had come to him, in the form of a girl who needed help. And though he was only a student, unnoticed and ordinary, he felt a fire grow inside him. For the first time in his life, he was not invisible. He had a purpose. The night deepened, and Aaron stayed beside Leora, watching her rest. Somewhere beyond the stars, he knew great powers must be searching for her, but he also knew this. No matter what came, he would not let her face it alone. The morning sun poured golden light through the gaps in the barn walls. Aaron woke to a quiet sound, the soft, steady breathing of someone nearby. He turned his head and saw Leora still sitting against the pile of straw. Her eyes were half open, glowing faintly in the morning light. She had slept for hours, and now she seemed calmer, less fragile than the night before. Aaron felt a strange mix of awe and worry. He had never seen anyone like her. Her skin seemed to shimmer in the sunlight, and her hair fell around her shoulders like liquid silver. She blinked slowly and focused on him, a weak but genuine smile forming on her lips. "Good morning," Aaron said softly. Leora's lips moved carefully. "Good morning." Her voice was musical but faint, and she paused, as if trying to find the right words. "You helped me." Aaron shook his head. "I didn't do anything special. I didn't want to leave you there." She tilted her head, her violet eyes studying him closely. "Humans, usually, leave." The words surprised him. He swallowed hard. "Some humans, some of us, we try to help. Always." Leora's gaze softened. "You, different." Aaron felt a warmth spread through him. Different. That word felt important, like she truly understood something about him that others never did. But before he could respond, a noise outside the barn startled him. A branch snapping, soft but deliberate. He froze. His heart raced. "Leora, stay here," he whispered. He carefully got up and peeked through a crack in the wooden wall. The forest looked calm, but something in the air made him uneasy. He could feel it in his chest, the sense of being watched. Aaron returned to her side. "We need to be careful," he said. "I don't know who is looking for you, but we have to stay hidden." Leora nodded slowly. "They want me. Bad." Aaron frowned. "Who are they?" Her eyes darkened, but she didn't answer immediately. Instead, she traced a pattern on the straw with her fingers, thinking. Finally, she said, "Rebels, and from my planet. They want control out of my family. I escaped." Aaron's mind whirled. "Your planet?" He shook his head. "Wait, you're not from Earth?" She gave a small nod. "No, far away." She paused. Her voice grew softer. Princess." Aaron stared at her in shock. Princess? Your royalty?" "Yes. But hunted," Leora whispered. She lowered her head, a shadow crossing her glowing face. "If they find me, danger, all." Aaron's hands tightened into fists. "Then I'll stop them. I don't know how, but I won't let anyone hurt you." For a moment, Leora's eyes brightened with relief. Then she looked down again, weak and quiet. Aaron realized she was exhausted. Her strength was fading, and he had no idea how to keep her safe. But he refused to give up. The morning passed slowly as Aaron tried to help her recover. He brought water in a small cup and some bread from his house. She took them carefully, as if unfamiliar with human food. But her hunger was clear. He watched her eat, marveling at how fragile yet determined she was. When she finished, he spoke gently. "Leora, I need to know more about you, about where you're from and why they want you." Leora hesitated. Her lips moved slowly. "My kingdom, my family, they, rebels, want power. I escaped alone." Her words were broken, but the meaning was clear. Aaron nodded. "We'll figure this out. I'll protect you, I promise." She looked at him, eyes wide and sincere. "Promise?" "Yes, promise," he said firmly. The bond between them grew silently as the hours passed. Aaron realized that this was no longer just an accident or a strange night in the forest. He was responsible for her life, and he felt something he had never felt before. Purpose. Not only was he helping a being from another world, but he was also proving something to himself. He could make a difference. As the sun climbed higher, Aaron started thinking about the practical problem. Leora could not stay in the barn forever. If anyone discovered her or if she needed medical care, he would need a plan. He remembered his father's old tools and his mother's medical kit. Carefully, he prepared a small area in the corner of the barn with blankets and food. Leora watched silently, her violet eyes following his every move. When he finished, she whispered, "Safe? Little more?" "Yes," Aaron said. "Safe. For now." He noticed her hands trembling slightly as she spoke. Her body seemed weaker than it looked, but her mind was sharp. He realized she must have endured a long journey and a terrifying escape. He wished there was more he could do to help her, to make her pain disappear. Suddenly a sound echoed outside the barn. A low hum, mechanical and foreign. Aaron froze, his eyes wide. "Leora, hide," he whispered urgently. He grabbed a tarp and helped her cover herself, making sure she blended with the shadows of the barn. The humming grew louder. Aaron peeked outside carefully. A small flying device like a drone hovered near the barn. Its sensors scanned the ground, moving in a slow circle. Aaron's mind raced. These were not human machines. They were alien, and they were searching for her. He took a deep breath and remembered a trick from one of his science projects. He grabbed a shiny piece of metal and held it near the open window. When the drone scanned again, the reflection caught its sensors, making it momentarily confused. It hovered, then changed direction, moving away from the barn. Aaron exhaled, his heart pounding. Leora peeked from under the tarp. "Clever. Human," she whispered, a small smile forming on her lips. Aaron chuckled, nervously. I just used what I know, but you need to rest." She nodded, but her curiosity was clear. "Why, help me? You don't know me." Aaron paused, thinking carefully. "Because you're alive, and because someone needs to care. I can't just stand aside." Her eyes shone with a mix of surprise and admiration. "Humans, sometimes brave, not weak." He smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. Her words were simple, but they meant more than anything he had heard before. For a moment, he felt seen, recognized, and valued. The rest of the day passed with small victories. Aaron made a small sleeping area for her, fetched water, and helped her move comfortably. They spoke slowly, Leora teaching him words in her language, and he showing her words in English. Their bond grew silently, not just as protector and protected, but as friends learning about each other. By evening, the forest outside grew darker and the air cooler. Aaron lit a small lantern in the barn, its soft glow making the space feel safe. Leora rested against the straw, eyes half closed but still alert. Aaron sat beside her. "Tomorrow, we'll think of a plan," he said softly. She nodded. "Together?" "Yes. Together." For the first time, Aaron felt that this encounter, strange and dangerous as it was, had changed him. He was no longer just an ordinary student. He had a mission. He had someone depending on him, and he realized something he hadn't thought before. Sometimes being brave did not mean fighting alone. It meant standing by someone who needed you, even when the world was unknown and frightening. Outside, the night returned, the stars shining, bright over the small town. But Aaron no longer felt small. He had touched a fragment of the universe, met someone from the stars, and discovered that even a human could make a difference in a galaxy far beyond Earth. And as Leora drifted into a light sleep, Aaron knew one truth clearly. He would protect her no matter what. His ordinary life had ended and a new extraordinary adventure had begun. The following morning, Aaron woke before sunrise. His mind was restless. He could still feel the presence of the drone that had scanned the barn the day before. Even though it had flown away, he knew it would not be the last attempt to find Leora. He glanced at her sleeping figure, still curled under the blanket he had arranged for her. Her breathing was calm now, but he knew she would not rest for long if danger was near. Aaron quietly prepared breakfast, making sure the smell would not attract attention. When he returned to Leora, she was awake, her violet eyes shining with curiosity. "Good morning," Aaron whispered. "Good morning." "Human," she replied softly, the faint glow in her skin brighter in the dim light. Aaron smiled. "We need to move soon. I think they will come back." Leora's expression turned serious. "Yes, they search. Many ships. Patrol." Aaron's heart tightened. He had expected danger, but the reality made it heavier. He had no weapons, no training, only his wits and determination. But he refused to let fear control him. He helped Leora gather a few essential items from the barn: water, some blankets, and a small bag of supplies. "We can't stay here," he said. "We need a place they cannot find easily." Leora nodded. "Yes, hide. Earth. Good? But humans, strange. They see." May report. Aaron considered this. His small town might be safer than the city, but if anyone noticed strange lights or someone unusual moving around, it could be dangerous. He decided they would move into the deeper forest where they could hide better. The two slipped quietly through the trees, moving cautiously but swiftly. Aaron had learned to read the forest paths and avoid open areas. Leora walked beside him, her movements delicate but surprisingly fast. She did not speak much, but her eyes watched every shadow, every movement, with careful attention. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher and the forest thickened. Birds chirped and small animals scurried past, but neither Aaron nor Leora paid much attention. Their focus was on remaining unseen. Suddenly a sharp sound cracked through the forest, a branch snapping underfoot. Aaron froze and crouched low, signaling Leora to do the same. His heart pounded in his chest. From the tree line emerged a small group of scouts. They were humanoid, but unlike anything Aaron had ever seen. Their skin was pale gray and their eyes were dark, almost black. Strange uniforms covered their bodies, decorated with symbols Aaron did not recognize. In their hands, they carried devices that hummed with energy, scanning the area. Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. "They found us," he whispered. Leora's voice was calm, but firm. "Hide. Now." Aaron quickly found a shallow depression behind a fallen tree and helped Leora crouch inside. Their bodies pressed close, hidden under leaves and branches. The scouts passed by slowly, scanning the forest, their mechanical devices glowing faintly as they moved. Aaron's breath caught in his throat, his hands trembling. The scouts stopped nearby, their sensors focusing in the direction of the barn. Leora's eyes widened. "Barn? They know." Aaron nodded grimly. "We need to stay here until they leave." Minutes stretched into long, tense moments. Aaron watched the scouts carefully. They moved slowly, speaking in a language he could not understand, but he could sense their intent. They were searching, persistent and methodical. Finally, the scouts began to retreat, disappearing into the trees. Aaron exhaled in relief, but he knew this was only the beginning. They would not give up so easily. Once the danger passed, he helped Leora continue their journey deeper into the forest. They came to a small clearing with a stream, the water sparkling in the sunlight. Leora knelt and touched the water gently, her fingers dipping into the cool flow. "Water. Good," she whispered. Aaron smiled softly. "Yes. Let's rest here for a little while." As Leora drank and refreshed herself, Aaron scanned the area. He realized they needed more than hiding. They needed a plan. The scouts were looking for her relentlessly, and if the rebels found her, there would be no chance for escape. "We need a strategy," he said, kneeling beside her. "I don't know what they are capable of, but we can use the forest. It's full of places they can't go easily, and I know some tricks they won't expect." Leora looked at him, her violet eyes filled with trust. "Tricks? Human? You? Brave?" Aaron smiled faintly. "I'm just clever with what I have. We can do this. Together." For the rest of the day, they moved carefully through the forest. Aaron taught Leora how to hide behind trees and how to move quietly. She learned quickly, her alien agility helping her navigate the terrain. They crossed streams, climbed over rocks, and avoided open paths. By evening, they found a hidden cave tucked between two hills. It was dark and narrow, but it would provide shelter and concealment. Aaron gathered some fallen branches and dry leaves to make a small bed, while Leora explored the cave, her glow illuminating the walls. "This. Good," she said after a moment, nodding. "Yes," Aaron agreed. "We can stay here for a while. They won't find us easily." As night fell, they sat together in the cave. Leora leaned against Aaron, exhausted but alert. He felt the weight of responsibility heavily on his shoulders. He was just a student, ordinary and unnoticed on Earth, yet here he was, protecting a princess from another world. Leora spoke softly. "Why? Help me? You risk yourself." Aaron thought carefully before answering. "Because it's the right thing to do. And because I can. Someone has to protect you, and that someone is me." She looked at him for a long time. Humans. Strange. Weak. But strong. Heart. Strong. Aaron chuckled softly. Her words were awkward, but he understood their meaning. It was true. Humans were not perfect, not the strongest or fastest, but their courage and creativity made them different. She was recognizing something he had never realized about himself. The night was quiet except for the distant sounds of the forest. Yet both knew the danger was not gone. The rebels would continue their search, and Aaron needed to stay alert. He spent hours thinking of ways to confuse the enemy, using fallen branches, rocks, and reflections from water to mislead their sensors. Leora listened and learned quickly, amazed by his ingenuity. "This clever," she whispered. "Humans." She was mind strong. Aaron smiled. "Yes, sometimes thinking is stronger than weapons." As the night deepened, Leora finally allowed herself to rest, her head on his shoulder. Aaron watched her sleep, feeling a strange bond growing between them. He realized he had become more than her protector. He had become her friend, the first person she could trust on this planet. Hours later, he dozed lightly, his mind filled with plans for the coming days. They would need to stay hidden, move carefully, and find allies if possible. But one truth stayed with him. He could not fail. If he failed, Leora would be captured, and her life, and perhaps the safety of her people, would be lost. The stars shone brightly above, visible through the cave's small opening. Aaron looked up and thought of the vast universe beyond Earth, realizing that he had become part of something much bigger than himself. The world he had dreamed about as a student, full of distant stars and unknown civilizations, had found him. And he had a role to play. No longer ordinary, no longer invisible, Aaron had discovered the power of courage, cleverness, and the human heart. And as he sat beside Leora in the darkness, he knew that together they could face whatever dangers the galaxy sent to find her. The adventure was far from over. In fact, the greatest challenges were just beginning. But for the first time in his life, Aaron felt ready. Not because he was perfect, not because he was. The forest seemed quieter than usual that morning, but Aaron knew better than to trust appearances. The rebels were clever, persistent, and relentless in their search for Leora. Aaron had spent the night thinking of ways to protect her, studying the terrain, and planning a safe path back towards civilization. Not for humans, but for a place where loyal forces from her world could reach her. Leora stirred beside him, her silver hair glowing faintly in the soft morning light filtering through the cave opening. She had slept longer than usual, and Aaron felt a rush of relief. Despite her alien nature, she had grown dependent on his care, and he had grown dependent on her presence as well. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. Leora opened her violet eyes and nodded. "Ready? Human. Lead." Aaron smiled faintly. They had learned to communicate not just with words, but with small gestures and understanding. He could read her mood, and she could trust his decisions even when danger lurked nearby. Carefully, they left the cave, moving through the dense forest with caution. Aaron's plan was simple: avoid open areas, mislead any potential scouts, and reach a clearing where he could repair Leora's escape beacon. The beacon, once active, could call her loyal forces to Earth, ensuring her safety and giving her the chance to reclaim her throne. Hours passed as they moved quietly through the trees. Birds flew overhead, insects hummed around them, and the occasional rustle in the underbrush kept Aaron alert. He noticed Leora scanning the forest carefully, her alien senses helping to detect things he could not. Her trust in him encouraged him to trust himself more. Suddenly, a faint hum reached his ears. His chest tightened. "They're near," he whispered. Leora's eyes narrowed. "Yes, scouts. Searching, carefully." Aaron quickly led her into a hollow beneath a large fallen tree. They pressed themselves against the roots, hidden from view. Moments later, several scouts passed by. their scanning devices glowing faintly. Aaron held his breath, his mind racing. If they were discovered, there would be no time to escape. The scouts moved past without noticing them. Aaron exhaled slowly, feeling his pulse gradually return to normal. Leora leaned against him, whispering, "Human, brave, not afraid." Aaron smiled faintly. "Fear is normal, but we can't let it stop us." After the scouts moved on, they continued their journey. Aaron led Leora to a small clearing by a river where sunlight sparkled on the water. He had chosen this spot because the terrain would allow them to camouflage themselves while repairing the beacon. Leora knelt beside the river, touching the water. Earth, simple. Water, clean. Aaron watched her for a moment, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. She was learning to adapt to Earth, and he was learning to protect someone far beyond his world. "Here," he said, opening a small bag he had prepared the night before. Inside were tools, wires, and a device that could amplify signals. "We can fix your beacon, then your people can come." Leora's violet eyes widened. "Fix human?" Aaron nodded. "Yes, I've seen how it works. We can make it send a signal." For the next few hours, Aaron worked carefully. Leora watched closely, offering help where she could. Though she was alien, she was intelligent and quick to learn. Her hands moved with precision, and she suggested small adjustments that even Aaron hadn't thought of. Together they connected wires, adjusted circuits, and finally attached the beacon to a sturdy tree. "Done," Aaron said softly, standing back. Leora pressed a small button on the beacon. It hummed to life, sending a faint glow into the sky. Moments later, a soft vibration ran through the ground, a reply signal. Aaron's heart leapt. Her people had received the message. "They coming," Leora whispered, her voice filled with relief. Aaron smiled. "Yes, soon you'll be safe." The sound of engines filled the air above them. Through the trees, Aaron could see a magnificent starship descending. Its sleek design glimmered in the sunlight, clearly alien, but majestic in every detail. Leora gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. My kingdom," she whispered. "Come, for me." Aaron stepped beside her, feeling a mixture of awe and pride. Together they watched as the starship landed gracefully in the clearing. A ramp extended from its base, and figures in gleaming armor began to disembark. Aaron realized these were loyal guards from her world, here to protect her and restore her safety. The figures approached cautiously but paused when they saw Aaron. One of them, taller and more imposing, stepped forward. Leora ran to him, tears in her eyes, and embraced him. "My father," she whispered. Aaron stepped back slightly, unsure of how to react. The man turned toward him, observing carefully. His eyes were sharp, intelligent, and full of authority. "You," the man said in a deep, commanding voice, "saved my daughter." Aaron swallowed hard. I just helped her." "I didn't," the king interrupted with a nod. "You showed courage, intelligence, and heart. These qualities are rare, even among my people. You are welcome aboard my ship." Aaron blinked. "Welcome. Aboard?" The king smiled faintly. "Yes, come with us. You have earned honor and respect. You saved a princess, and for that you have a place among us." Leora's eyes shone as she looked at him. "Come, Aaron. Good." Aaron hesitated, looking back at the forest and then at the starship. For the first time in his life, he realized his ordinary life on Earth had ended. A new adventure awaited him, far beyond anything he had imagined. He nodded slowly. I will go." Together, Aaron and Leora ascended the ramp. Inside the starship, the environment was unlike anything Aaron had seen. The walls glowed softly, and technology hummed with precision. He could feel the energy and intelligence that powered every system. Leora guided him through the corridors. My people, thankful. You, hero. Aaron felt a warmth spread through him. He had never been a hero before. At school, he had been invisible. At home, he had been quiet and unnoticed. But now, in this alien starship, he realized that humans could make a difference. Even one human. They reached a chamber where Leora's father and his advisors waited. The king stepped forward. Aaron, your courage and quick thinking have saved my daughter. You have shown that even a human can possess the qualities of a great protector. For this, we offer you a place with us if you wish. Aaron felt a lump in his throat. A place among them? He never imagined being valued like this. He had dreamed of the stars, of adventure, but never that someone would recognize his worth. I accept, he said finally, his voice steady despite his excitement. The king smiled. Then you shall be trained and educated as one of our own. You will not be a mere observer. You will be a protector, a student, and a friend to my daughter. Leora hugged him tightly. New family. Mine now, she whispered. Aaron laughed softly, a mixture of joy and disbelief. He had a new life, a new purpose, and a new family beyond Earth. That evening, as the starship lifted off, leaving Earth behind, Aaron stood beside Leora and looked out at the stars. He realized that the world he had only dreamed of had found him, and now, with courage, heart, and determination, he would face whatever challenges awaited him. For the first time, he felt truly alive. And for Leora, safe in the arms of someone who had risked everything for her. The journey back to her homeworld was no longer frightening. She had a friend, a protector, and a human who had shown that even the simplest people could possess the greatest courage. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Aaron felt a quiet truth in his heart. Sometimes, the smallest actions, the quietest bravery could change destinies. He had saved a princess, and in return he had been given a new family and a new life among the stars. The starship glided silently through the stars, leaving Earth far behind. Aaron sat beside Leora, marveling at the vastness of space. He had spent hours staring out the large view panels, watching planets, moons, and distant stars pass by like glowing jewels. It was breathtaking. The world he had once imagined from his small telescope was now real, and he was part of it. Leora's violet eyes sparkled as she looked at him. Human, amazed? She asked softly. Aaron smiled. Yes, more than I ever imagined, and grateful. I never thought I would be here with you and with all this. She nodded. You, brave, kind, my protector, my friend. He felt warmth in his chest. She was not just a princess from another world. She had become a companion, someone he cared about deeply. But more than that, he realized something he had never felt before. He belonged somewhere, not just on Earth, but among people who recognized him, who valued him. The ship's engines hummed, and soon they arrived at a magnificent planet, orbiting a golden sun. Its cities glimmered like crystals, with tall spires and lights that reflected off the surface of rivers and oceans. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with the energy of a civilization far beyond human technology. Aaron followed Leora down the ramp as guards escorted them into the royal palace. The corridors were vast, illuminated by floating lights and intricate patterns etched into the walls. Aaron's jaw dropped as he took in the beauty and scale of the place. This, amazing, he whispered. Leora smiled at his awe. My home, you. Welcome. They entered the throne room where Leora's father, the king, awaited. His presence was commanding, yet there was warmth in his eyes. Behind him stood advisors and loyal guards, all dressed in elegant uniforms that shimmered with alien designs. Aaron, the king began, his voice deep and strong. You have shown courage, intelligence, and heart. You risked everything to save my daughter, and for that, you have earned our trust and respect. Aaron bowed his head slightly. I only did what I could. I couldn't leave her alone. The king nodded approvingly. Sometimes the smallest actions reveal the greatest courage. You have proven that humans, though young and from a distant world, can possess qualities equal to the finest of my people. Leora's eyes glistened with pride as she looked at him. My human hero, she whispered. The king motioned for Aaron to stand. You are no longer just a visitor. You will have a place among us. You will learn, grow, and be part of this family. You will be trained, educated, and respected. And most importantly, you will be a friend and protector to my daughter. Aaron's heart swelled. A place in this world, a role and recognition, it was more than he could have dreamed. He glanced at Leora, who smiled reassuringly. New family. Yours too, she said softly. For the next few weeks, Aaron settled into the palace. He learned the routines, the customs, and the ways of the people. It was not easy. Everything was different. The food, the language, the technology. But he adapted quickly. His mind, sharp and curious, absorbed new knowledge eagerly. Leora often helped him, teaching him the nuances of her world, and he continued to show her the cleverness of human thinking, offering ideas and strategies that even the royal advisors found impressive. He trained alongside Leora in self-defense and strategy. Though she was naturally skilled, Aaron's determination and human ingenuity impressed even the seasoned guards. He learned to navigate alien weaponry, understand the star maps of her planet, and think like a protector. Leora watched him, admiration shining in her violet eyes. Strong, not muscle. Mind. Heart, she whispered one day. Aaron smiled. Humans can be surprising. As time passed, Aaron became more than a student or a visitor. He became part of Leora's family. He shared meals with them, joined discussions with the advisors, and even offered insights that helped improve strategies for defending the kingdom. The king valued his perspective, often consulting him for human ideas which proved innovative and effective. One evening, as the two of them stood on a balcony overlooking the city, Leora turned to him. Aaron, you happy? He looked at her, the golden lights of the city reflecting in her eyes. Yes, I never thought I could have a place like this. A family, friends, purpose. I am happy. She smiled softly. Good. Human. You belong. Aaron realized that happiness was not just about adventure or discovery. It was about connection, about being needed and valued. He had risked everything to protect her, and in return he had found a family and a home beyond his wildest dreams. Days turned into weeks, and Aaron continued to grow. He trained with the royal guards, learned advanced science and technology from Leora's advisors, and explored the wonders of the planet. He marveled at the flying vehicles, the towering crystal buildings, and the energy systems that powered the cities. Every day was an adventure, but what mattered most was that he was not alone. Leora often accompanied him, laughing at his mistakes, cheering at his successes, and sharing stories of her childhood. Their friendship deepened, forming a bond of trust and loyalty that neither would forget. The palace became not just a place of duty, but a home filled with warmth and laughter. One day, the king called Aaron into his private chamber. Aaron, he said, you have proven yourself not only brave but wise. The people of this kingdom respect you. You have earned a place not just as a protector, but as a member of this family. Aaron bowed respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored. The king smiled. More than that, you are part of our legacy. You came from a distant world, yet you have shown that courage, heart, and intelligence know no boundaries. You are our friend, our ally, and our family. Aaron felt tears prick at his eyes. He had never imagined such words would be spoken to him. From an ordinary student on Earth, Unnoticed and overlooked, he had become a hero, a protector, and a member of a royal family on another world. That night, as he sat in his new quarters, he looked out at the stars. He thought of Earth, of the quiet nights spent with his telescope, dreaming of adventure. He realized that all those dreams had led him here, to a place where he could make a difference, be valued, and belong. Leora appeared at the doorway, her violet eyes shining in the dim light. "Aaron, you're happy?" she asked softly. He smiled and nodded. "Yes, Leora, I am happy. Because of you, and because of this family. You gave me a chance, and I will honor it." She stepped closer and placed her hand gently on his. "Good, human, together, always." Aaron felt a sense of peace he had never known. The fear, the danger, and the uncertainty of their first meeting were behind them. They had faced challenges, clever enemies and unknown worlds, and yet, together, they had overcome them. And now, Aaron had a home, friends, a purpose, and a family among the stars. The palace hummed softly around them. Guards patrolled, advisors discussed plans, and citizens moved about the streets below, but inside the royal walls Aaron felt a quiet joy. He had rescued a princess, but in doing so, he had been rewarded with something even greater. A family that accepted him, a world that respected him, and a future full of possibilities. For the first time in his life, Aaron truly understood the meaning of courage and kindness. They were not just actions, they were qualities that could change destinies. By helping Leora, he had saved a life, a kingdom, and in many ways, himself. As the night deepened and the stars sparkled above the alien planet, Aaron sat beside Leora, feeling the warmth of friendship and family around him. The universe was vast, full of mysteries and challenges, but he no longer felt small or invisible. He was a human, brave and clever, with a heart strong enough to make a difference. And now, with a new family, a new home, and endless adventures ahead, Aaron knew that the greatest reward of all was not glory, not recognition, but love, trust, and belonging. Together, he and Leora gazed out at the endless stars, knowing that no matter what came next, they would face it side by side. Humans and aliens, friends and family, united by courage, heart, and the promise of a future beyond the stars. Aaron smiled, a quiet, genuine smile, for the first time feeling that he had truly found his place in the universe. And in that moment, he realized that being human was more powerful than he had ever imagined.